All right, guys, welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu Motivation Podcast. I'm Greg Melita, black belt second degree, owner of Hampton's Jiu-Jitsu.
And I am Brian DeLuca, black belt and author of Jiu-Jitsu for Small People and other weird shit I think about.
Awesome, guys. Today we have Christian from Globetrotters, BJJ Globetrotters, one of my favorite organizations in Jiu-Jitsu. Really wanted to get him on here. He's got a lot of amazing just outlooks in Jiu-Jitsu. So I wanted to bring him on to talk about his origins, the origins of Globetrotters. And I know specifically, man, I just want to give you a shout out and thanks and gratitude because you were a big inspiration to us opening up in the academy that I have in the Hamptons in Long Island, New York. We affiliated with Globetrotters right away. I had the sticker right on the door, travel-friendly jiu-jitsu, which is funny that you have to actually think you need to project that, but that's how, there was a void created. But yeah, I just really enjoyed that vision, and it helped motivate me to get out there and start that academy, man. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, pleasure's all mine. Congratulations on doing it.
Thanks, man. So yeah, so what's some of your, go into some of your general jiu-jitsu history, because I think people just associate you with Globetrotters. Maybe not a lot of people know about your training history.
Yeah. Oh well. How far back do you want to go?
He's like, the first day on the first mat. Yes.
Like, where'd you start and where'd you come up, and what was that experience like?
Well, I did Taekwondo as a kid for like 10 years. Then I became a teenager. I discovered girls and alcohol. And so I stopped training, and I got very skinny, and it was boring to not do any sports. I kind of missed it. So I was looking for some sports to do. I just started lifting weights. It was kind of boring. And I found this ad in a supermarket for Jeet Kune Do, which is like, there was a picture of Bruce Lee, and I was like, shit, I want to do that stuff. So I called them up, and I went to a trial class in that, and it's like pretend MMA, like wannabe kung fu MMA street fight for teenagers.
It's like the 1-inch punch, right?
Yeah, it's kind of silly, but it's kind of like, it's good, but it's kind of like silly elements. But anyway, very first day, someone grabs my head and squeezes it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because I'd just been kicking holes in the air for 10 years. I never even considered that you could grab someone, I knew about judo and stuff, of course, but I never really thought about actually doing it. And someone held me down and put his hairy chest in my face, and I couldn't breathe. And I thought, this is amazing. And I never kind of lost interest ever since. So we just headlocked each other, and there was no jiu-jitsu back then in Denmark, and so we kind of had to figure it out. So the first thing we did was we bought some VHS tapes online. I had a stack of Chris Howder VHS tapes I bought, and we had one of those big old CRT TVs with a video recorder underneath it. It had to be on like a rolling table thing with wheels on that we could roll in for every class, and then we put in the VHS tape. And Chris Howder was this really strange guy, and we were just mind blown about this technique. And we had we got a lot of videos with from shoot boxing and Japanese Lion's Den, all this stuff, shoot fighting videos. And so it was heavily influenced by Japanese MMA, because there was no such thing as IBJJF did not exist, YouTube did not exist. We had VHS tapes, and we were just watching UFC and Japanese shoot boxing, and just to kind of figure it out. And we're just trying to pull each other's heads off for years. And that was pretty fun. And it just kind of, ball just kept rolling from there, and here we are 20 years later.
Yeah.
Later, so.
It's so interesting because so many of us have that same sort of story. There was no jiu-jitsu. It was you learned sort of what you learned with your friends, or you learned watching a VHS tape or watching someone fight in some organization. Oh, that's how I'm starting to learn jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just trial and error. And I never had an instructor ever. So there's no competition. So we just made a competition. We started doing just for the club, because there were not really any other clubs around. So we just had inter-club championships, and then ultimately other clubs started popping up, and we just made some competitions. And a big part of my career has been has been to organize host competitions in Denmark to try to build the community. So I did a lot of grappling tournaments, a lot of MMA shows, like amateur and professionals as well, just to kind of, because there was nothing, so we kind of had to do it. And there were no clubs, so we had to start a club, and that was pretty much it. And it's just been trial and error. So I've been basically teaching since white belt, like figuring it out by watching videos and go to the class and try to explain my friends. And I've just been teaching the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And we opened an academy in Copenhagen. We at the height of it, we had 700 members.
Wow!
And it was jiu-jitsu, MMA, like Muay Thai, CrossFit, everything, you know. Mm-hmm. Just trial and error for a few decades, and then you kind of figure things out. You know, jiu-jitsu is not rocket science, and is readily available. You just got to put in the work. So, and I think the more we did a lot of seminars, I traveled a lot for seminars and invited people over, and also traveled for competitions and travel for training camps around the world. Anything I could find really to learn this. And yeah.
So at some point you said, okay, I'm going to go do the Globetrotter thing. I'm going to go around and train with as many people in different places. So what inspired that, right? Why'd you start that whole journey?
Yeah, like what was the origins of that whole idea?
Well, it was a very natural thing to do, because like part of trying to figure out and learn jiu-jitsu and bring it back home and build an academy was to kind of seek out knowledge. And every year I would go somewhere for like 3 weeks or something to train with random people and try to learn some stuff. I went to the US quite a lot, and then I went to Asia quite a lot, and it just became like an annual thing. I'll leave for like 3-4 weeks to go anywhere and train with someone and see what I could bring home to our little academy. And there was a year after doing that for 10 years, I was like, what can I do now? Where do I want to go? And I thought maybe I'll go stay somewhere for like a month or 3 months or something. And I had like 5 places I think I wanted to go. I was a little bit tired of going to the same place all the time. So I was looking at, I would go to Japan or something and train, but Brazil. And I looked at that and I said like, there's like 5 places I want to go. And I could just do all of them and go around the world, like as a little kind of, you know,
tour.
Right. Why not go around the world and do all of them? And so I thought, okay, this year this time I'll go around the world and stay in different places and train jiu-jitsu. And I thought, but where else can I go? I mean, there must be other places out there to train. And so I did this. I started this blog, BJJGlobetrotter.com, and I made the first blog post. And I say I will go anywhere in the world and teach jiu-jitsu for free, for a couch to sleep on. Mm-hmm. And I posted that on a few forums. Back then, we didn't have like social media or Facebook or all that stuff. So I posted that on some forums, and I said, I just throw it out there and see, is there any places I missed out and that I didn't go to or whatever, you know, like, you guys here?
Yeah. Okay. He just switched camera.
Screen isolation for you.
Technology. And I got like 200 emails or something in the first few days.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, sure, come to my place, come to, you know, Romania, come to Philippines and everywhere. You can sleep on my, people are like, yeah, you can sleep on my couch. They'll be super happy to have a brown belt come in. And I just started plotting them in on like a Google Earth, you know, and all the invitations, and there were hundreds, like literally hundreds of invitations.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I guess it's going to be a little bit more intense than I initially planned for. So I thought, let me just try to go and visit as many people as I can in like half a year.
And you went to some pretty remote locations, right?
Yeah. I tried all of them.
Did you went to all 200? And you know what, too? I mean, think about it. You're just saying, give me a place to sleep, right? And I'll teach jiu-jitsu for a certain amount of time. It's like such a deal, especially like back in the day. Like there weren't even a lot of brown belts around.
Yeah.
You know, when you were doing this.
I was coming, so I mean, I was teaching every day. Huh?
that was probably part of your goal, because it wasn't, it wasn't that access to that many people that forced you to travel and go around. I mean, that's like a whole topic in itself. Back in the day, like Brian said, it's like, the culture that you had to travel to experience and try to gain as much technique. Like, I mean, that's a totally different mindset than what was back in the day. Back in the day, it wasn't that way. It was like, and even then, think about, like, you're traveling and learning as much as you can to bring back. And I mean, I know in my experience, it was like, oh no, you can't watch and don't look at this stuff on YouTube, and oh no, you're going to learn bad habits. And I think the culture that you were in just totally, I mean, it's blowing me away, because you were, that was just a normal thing, just trying to soak up as much as you can and just travel as much as you can.
It was necessary. So
Mm-hmm.
we had no other option. So I just started, I just went to visit as many as I could.
Did you ever, when you were traveling, did you ever go train with Chris Howder?
Yeah. Quite a lot.
Okay. He was. Yeah, we know Chris. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, we had him on our show. I mean, I've always looked up to him and his views, and then we saw you've always had him at your camp, so that's pretty awesome. The guy you had VHS tapes of,
right? The guy who started
techniques from.
Yeah. All right. He was the first one I wanted to visit when I went on my first trip to the US when I was like 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a camp in Portland, Oregon, and he was teaching there. And I said, let me go check that out. And I probably had a lot of silly questions for a 20-year-old blue belt. White belt.
So I guess at that point, when you realized how many invitations you had, you were like, all right, there's something here, and nobody's doing anything kind of like what I want to start as far as the organization of Globetrotter. So how did you actually? What was that point when you were like, wow, okay, there's a demand here. People would want to do like worldwide camps. People would want to know about my experiences of traveling the world doing jiu-jitsu. How'd that come about?
That's a lot of stories in one question.
It is. So like, at what point did you decide, all right, I'm going to start this thing called BJJ Globetrotters and do it?
That was completely random by accident. It was not planned at all. I think when I was doing that trip and I realized how many kind of amazing experiences I could create for myself by just going random places and like walking into random academies and finding friends and adventures everywhere. I kind of wanted to share that with others, and I would hope that someone else could have the same experience. And one of the ideas I had when I was doing it was to do I registered bjjglobetrotting.com, and I wanted to build like a website where people could connect, like a couch surfing thing. Mm-hmm. And they could kind of connect, and because I had to do everything manually in a sense, I had to, email people directly. Right. There was not Facebook really back then. I had to email people directly and get in touch and like find academies and stuff. So I thought maybe I can build something to make this easier for myself, because it's quite a lot of manual work. Maybe I could build like some kind of, online something and make it easier for people to connect with like travelers and hosts. Sorry, there's a truck outside my friend's window. So I did that. It never took off. It didn't really work. And time went on, and so I kind of dumped that. But what I did when I was traveling was that every place I went to 56 academies. Every one of them, I told, of course, if you want to come visit me at any time, you just come to Copenhagen. I'll be happy to host anyone and kind of pay back some of the hospitality I found around the world. And I invited everyone to come visit. And Copenhagen is very easy to visit. Like it's very central in Europe, and everybody wants to ultimately go and see that. So it kind of backfired, because everyone came to visit me like nonstop. And I was a non-stop tour guide.
You had to buy like extra couches.
Luckily, I had the gym was my full-time thing, so I had time for it. But I literally had people come in every single week for 6 months straight. I had visitors coming to visit me, just people I trained with on the trip, stayed with, or just random people from the gyms I visited. They came to train with me for like weeks or months or whatever. And they just came in hordes, to visit. And I was nonstop tour guiding. And it was fun, obviously, because all we did was like, it was just an extension of my trip, really. The trip just came to me after I came home. And it was nonstop going out, eating and making dinners and training. And it was just like the trip just at home, pretty much. The world just came to me.
Right.
But it's also exhausting to be a tour guide and do the same sightseeing trips every single week for new people. There was a point where I think after 6 months of people coming in every single week, I just said like, hey, maybe you should all try to come in the same week, and we could kind of make a week out of it, and then I can kind of do sightseeing in bulk instead of one at a time. And I had probably 25 people come in, 25 people I met on the trip. They came in the same week, and I invited some friends along, like some instructors I knew, and like we pretty much just did a camp. It was just a week of training, going out, partying, eating a lot of food, doing fun things, sightseeing, whatever you wanted to do if you have 25 friends coming to town, for a week. And that was pretty much it. That was it. And were all like, hey, this is really fun. Let's do that again. And then next summer they came back and they brought some friends along. And here we are, 68 camps later. And it's the same thing that keeps going. It never gets boring.
So now you have camps all over the world, right? You have them in the United States, you have them in Europe, you have them pretty much all over the world. How did that come about? Like rotating the camps instead of people coming to you. Now you have camps in different locations.
Well, I mean, I still want people to come visit me, and I always have an open invitation for anyone to come train with me, including you watching. It's training with me is free always. Yeah, well, it just kind of evolved. Globetrotters did not exist at that point, like the organization, so to say. I still had like the blog from my trip, and I would say so. It just happened completely by accident, because around that time we were trying to compete at the Europeans, the biggest tournament in IBJJF, I believe. We did that every year for almost 10 years, and we brought a team every year. And at that time, I was trying to register our academy with the IBJJF so we could compete. And there was another academy in the US with the same name, just called CSA, like Combat Sports Academy or something. So we couldn't do that. And so we just had to come up with a name really quick. And someone said, hey, let's call it BJJ Globetrotters, because you did the BJJ Globetrotter trip and we're kind of your students in a sense, or training partners. So let's call ourselves the BJJ Globetrotters. And that was like and every year we had like a name for the team that went to Portugal. It was like Team Sandbaggers and like whatever. There's kind of a theme for every year. And that year the theme was the BJJ Globetrotters, because I just returned home from that trip, and they're like, cool, let's register that. So we registered that with the IBJJF, and we signed up for the competition. It was like, hey, we should do like T-shirts or something, because every year we had the team name. There was a team name for every season, and that year let's do T-shirts or patches or something with the BJJ Globetrotters. And I drew up that patch of with the bus and the sunset, and I printed a few patches just for us. We're like 12 guys, and I put a picture of that on my blog, and everybody's like, hey, where can I get that patch? I want to do that. And one said, hey, I also want to compete at the Europeans, but I cannot register because of whatever paperwork. I was like, sure, just sign up with Globetrotters, obviously. Like, I mean, come on. Just sign up and let's meet in Portugal, and we get you the patches. And then suddenly people were like, oh man, this is I can compete now because I can't register my academy or whatever. So I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, come on, we're just friends, So I just did an open post, and then suddenly some academies were like, hey, is this an affiliation? Can we join? And I'm like, no, but okay, let's call it an affiliation. It's really just me going to Portugal and drew a bus. That's literally it.
Yeah, you just broke it down. You just simplified it completely.
Yeah, I mean, I just started a jiu-jitsu affiliation by accident, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wanted to be part of it. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
And what that really says is, how ready jiu-jitsu was for something that was open, and an affiliation that everyone could join who just like to train with other people.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, there was nothing really. I just, it kind of took off pretty quickly. So for the fun of it, I did like a post on my blog and say, hey, you can if you want to be part of this group, you can just send me an email with your logo. I'm going to put it on, like, make a list online, and we'll make kind of a fun affiliation out of it, like a joke affiliation, it's like a meme coin, you know. And just as a joke towards affiliations, because now I'm a black belt, I guess I can do that stuff, you know. I have the power now to start affiliations. People will start following me if I do stuff like that. So as a joke, I said, send me your logo, and I'll make like a page on my blog, and we'll list who is part of this. And by the way, we're registered with the IBJJF, so you can just, of course, like, compete. If you want to compete, just go ahead. I mean, who cares? And then also people said, like, hey, I don't even train anywhere. I just, like, travel around. Can I also join? It's like, sure, let's call it an individual membership. And suddenly, I guess I stumbled over by accident making an affiliation. And today it's the biggest in the world, if you count academies, 870 of them or something.
Wow.
Bigger than Gracie Barra.
Yeah, I mean, I think that says it all right there. And I gotta, it's just so awesome how natural and organic it was and not planned. And it just goes to show you, because I gotta make you aware, man. I think you were, when you seen how big it became and the demand for it. But the jiu-jitsu, especially here on the East Coast, was not that way, man. It was not that way. I didn't experience it that way, of like, hey, just train anywhere. There was like, oh, you know, oh, this team, that team, you're a traitor if you train at other schools. And, oh, no, you don't want to learn this. You're not this belt yet. You can't learn, you know, leg locks yet. Very, very different. I think the way you know, organically came about this, it's just amazing to me, because it's not the jiu-jitsu that I experienced. And I think jiu-jitsu needed something like that, and jiu-jitsu benefits greatly from something like the Globetrotter organization. And then at what point did you realize, okay, a lot of people are coming on board, and now I think it's getting very big, to the point where, and then what was the experience that you had with the IBJJF as far as the difficulties? At what point was it like, okay, they have a problem with what's going on?
Oh, that's like, you're just jumping like 8 years ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to do that.
I think there's a more important kind of elements to not skip in terms of how it came about, because it was also quite early. I saw that, oh, everybody wants to be part of it. And also, I just got my black belt at that point. And it was kind of weird. You know, I traveled a lot, and I talked to a lot of people about jiu-jitsu politics and traveling, and just unhealthy environments and unhealthy people, and how people get stuck with in relationships they don't want to be in. I'm talking about like training relationships or student-teacher relationships they actually don't want to be in, but they're stuck there because of hierarchy, or they want a promotion, or one person. It's building relationships based on one person wanting something from another person. I think that's extremely unhealthy, and and it never works in the long run. So I heard a lot of bad stories about this, and also obviously, I think it's much better today. But back then, it was quite normal that if you train somewhere, you were not allowed to train somewhere else. You know? Very normal. And also that if you want to be considered promoted by anyone, you better have a business relationship first. You know, that's quite normal. There was just a lot of things that I felt were weird, and at that point, very quickly, people, and this was very strange. People wanted to be under me. They asked me to be underneath me, which is just really strange. It was really, really weird, you know. And I think especially I just came back from that trip, and I met friends everywhere in the world. I would go any random place, anywhere in the world, and any white belt on the mat would turn out to become like a friend I will still see today, you know. But it's really, I think it was really strange I would personally, and it's just me, just personally do everything I can to avoid building relationships with people based on them wanting something from me, you know. But that happened organically very, very quickly. Very quickly, I became kind of famous in a sense, I started building a very big affiliation, and people started inviting me to seminars, and they wanted me to be the fucking sensei of their academy and come and promote their students and them. And there were a lot of expectations in these relationships. And I was like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, this is fun. I guess I can travel more, and I get invited. People pay me to travel. That's fun. But very quickly, I could see that this could lead to very unhealthy relationships down the road, and I wanted to avoid that. So I early on, for when the Globetrotters started to happen, I wrote down the kind of the values of Globetrotters that can never change. Is like there are no affiliation fees involved. We will promote anyone who deserves it, as even if they're a member or not. And there's like a bunch of important values, and I think the most important one is to treat everyone the same on and off the mats. That was kind of the you can say like the foundation of everything, and I can never change that. And if I immediately I wrote like, if I change this, you have to abandon and dissolve the team. You know, so I kind of put myself in a situation where I could not end up taking advantage of being in a, you say like a power position towards like many thousands of people. You know? I could very quickly become a tyrant, you know, and not that I think I would, but I would say if at some point I would change and go down that road, I cannot do it. So I put that safeguard for myself.
What's interesting is, you know, you said like people were actually asking you to do that, come there and lead them. Do you think there's something in some people's nature or how they were raised that they feel like they need that leadership, or they feel like they need someone telling them what to do?
Of course. So I also very early on said, I'm not going to promote anyone. I don't do it. I don't offer it. I don't offer that business of you inviting me on a holiday to wherever you live once a year and I give you belts. I do not offer that service. I will leave that to someone else. Probably lost out on a lot of business there, but I think it's a better long-term way of building relationships with people I just want to be friends with. You know?
Right.
But yes, of course, it's we're just monkeys, you know. So all we want is to be part of a monkey group and have the opportunity to rise in the hierarchy through hard work and challenging those who are higher, you know. So that's what we do. So obviously you can join jiu-jitsu, and if you do hard work and you will say, hey, leader monkey, I want to be your apprentice, please show me how to be the strongest monkey in the group. You do that, and then one day you're stronger than the leader monkey, and it's kind of weird that he still is your leader because you're the strongest monkey in the group, and you can beat him now. Right. But luckily, he invents a new system where he puts stripes on his fucking black belt based on time. So he will stay the leader monkey forever because you can never overtake him because it's based on time and nothing else.
Right. Without time travel, you're not getting there. You know.
So in the story now, in the storyline, what year did you get your black belt?
I don't remember. You got to check out BeltChecker. 2012, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2012. So that was like the year after I returned home from the trip. Yeah. So I mean, so that's it. And people want to be underneath me. I was like, what happens the day you're better than me? I mean, are you still going to invite me, pay me to come and do seminars? It's kind of weird. All these young people come to the camps and they're like super talented, and I'm only getting older and they're only getting better, you know? And I was like, I mean, yeah, sure, I could help you. You could be under the BJJ Globetrotter. I'll make an affiliation with my face on a patch and call it Team Christian. No, that sounds really just Team Globetrotter, Team Christian Globetrotter, something, you know, under Christian. And then I'm going to promote you if you keep inviting me to seminars to this cool place you live and give me a little bit of money every year. But one day you're going to kick my ass. So, and this is exactly what happened. They all kick my ass now. I mean, it would be kind of weird now if I go to, let's say, I just had a great conversation with a guy called Haldor in Iceland, who is one of the best grapplers in Iceland. He came to the camps when he was like 14 or 15. And, you know, young, eager to learn. I had a lot to teach him. I love to work with him. And I'm very happy that I never took the role as his sensei, professor, because obviously today he will like ragdolls me in jiu-jitsu, and he's like a super high-level competitor, black belt. It would be so awkward if he still had to invite me to Iceland and like, yeah. but you're our professor. We have to pay respect to your jiu-jitsu skills. I have nothing to teach him. Nothing. He's 10 times better than me. I'm just a dad who trains jiu-jitsu.
See, that's like the perfect opportunity in the next topic, which is like, do you necessarily need to be better than a person to recognize their level and their promotion sort of thing? Because, I mean, that's if we're following the IBJJF standard, you know, in air quotes, of promoting. I mean, I think it's gotten so out of hand with, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. And, you know, you hear that all the time. Oh, your professor should always be, you know, beating you versus why is that true? Why can't the professor just keep giving you guidance? You know what I mean? I feel like it's all over the map on what people think should be following, like promotion wise, like, oh, I have to be under a professor that's always beating me. Or, you know, I think it's gotten so convoluted.
Well, sports is the solution. Other sports has figured this out a long time ago. One, there's a reason why the average age of like Premier League is 23, because that's athletic peak. You know, there's a reason why you know, your coral belt 70-year-old guy would not stand a chance in even a grappling match against any of us, because I mean they're way past their prime. They have this symbol on their hip, but it doesn't. I mean, and they probably have some experience, but they could not beat us. I mean, that's how it works. The reason why the best football players of the 80s have nothing to do in like 20 years later in the same league. You know, they cannot do it. And also, sports solved this many years ago by having leagues, you know, divisions. So you win a certain division, you move up. You lose, you move down. But we invent this strange thing where we want to keep some people in power. So there's like, yes, I will tell you when you are ready to compete at blue belt, because you know, it's kind of weird. We give that power to someone instead of just basing it off data of the results. You know, so if everyone would just compete, it would be very simple to say who is what belt level, because that's literally just division 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. You know, done.
So what happens, right? We all age out. You know, we all start aging out, right? So what happens? You know, once you start aging out, right? How do you see that?
What do you mean? You get older?
Well, you sort of we all age out, right? Eventually, you know, whatever, you know, a really athletic 23-year-old purple belt's going to whoop our asses as black belts as we're older. We know that for a fact. We age out. Is it just, you know, is it accepting? Is it just doing the best you can for who you are at the time while you can still grapple? You know, that's how I view it.
Yeah. What's the problem?
Yeah, well, I guess there's no problem. I guess I was asking how you view it. There is no problem.
The problem is that right there, it's this notion that we're all given in this art where it's like, oh, well, the belt, it's that guy is a higher belt. He must beat me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel like there's like a disconnect, you know? I mean, I feel like a lot of people, maybe it's more people that come from traditional martial arts. I don't know. But I think that mentality, it's on certain, you know, mats, or most of the mats in the old school, that's how it was. Oh, well, you only get your belt if, you know, purple belt, you beat all the blue belts. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this mental thing, which I think people have to let go of. I think Chris Howder talks about it like tribalism, right?
Just replace the word jiu-jitsu with any other sport and you have the solution, the answer to your question. Oh, I'm a black belt in tennis. I can't believe this 18-year-old super talented athlete beats me. I'm 45 years old. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to happen.
But I guess my question is it also people just, I mean, forget about the, you know, we're raised in the system. Is it also just as we age, even us accepting we're aging, right? Do you think people like have a tendency to want to go, oh, I'm still in my prime, even though they're, you know, in their 40s trying to train? You know, is there ego? Is it people need to also let go of their own ego? Forget about the belt system. You know what I mean? Is it people?
Forget about the belt system, unfortunately, because we all have visual. The problem is true. We all have visual markers on us to show how we're supposed to perform in a physical sport against other athletes. And humans love when hierarchy is strict and it works. You know, it's very comforting when you walk into a room in jiu-jitsu and you can tell, oh, he's a 3-stripe purple belt and I'm a 1-stripe purple belt. So it's okay if he beats me, but if I beat him, it's kind of weird, you know? Oh, this blue belt is really good and I'm a brown belt. Is this supposed to happen? You know, we really like when the hierarchy is in order. You know, I think that's human nature. If we're a group of monkeys and the highest ranked monkey is weak and he's like limping, something's not right. There must be a fight to establish the hierarchy. So that he cannot be on top anymore. The problem is that we insist on these visual markers to tell each other exactly how we're supposed to perform, because that's how our instructors rate our performance. So they say, oh, you're a black belt, so you're supposed to perform better against all these other people who are not black belts, which is kind of weird, because obviously that's not reality. And we all know this. All you need to do is just kind of mess with that a little bit, and the Reddit blows up. All you have to do is just mess with that a little bit. Like, let's say self-promotion. Someone promotes themselves. Everybody goes nuts. Nobody cares about his actual level. He could be a black belt, give himself a black belt, but it doesn't matter, because the system is not right. Or a black belt puts on a white belt and beats off everyone. Everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? This is not supposed to happen, Or, like a blue belt performs really, really bad in a competition against white belts, and everybody's like, something's not right, it messes with your head. Or you show up at a new academy and you're like purple belt, and you do really well against a brown belt, and you immediately, your mind says like, something's not right. He must have a bad day or something. Or like, shit, this blue belt beat me. Am I really a purple belt, But if you perform as your symbol in your rank tells you, everybody relax. It's good. Life is fine. Monkeys can relax because there's no need to adjust the hierarchy. So, but it's weird. And you know what? All you have to do is show up in an academy at an open mat with people you don't know. Show up for Nogi Day, and you don't know what rank people are, and tell me that your mind is not racing constantly, thinking about what rank people are and how you're supposed to perform against them. Oh my God, is this a black belt who had a bad day, or a blue belt who's just really athletic?
Right.
I don't know. Holy shit, this is weird. How am I supposed to perform against this person?
That's pretty funny. I guess that's why they do ranked rash guards, huh? Keep everything in order.
It makes us relax, it has a calming effect on monkeys that they know exactly who's monkeys. That's why if there's a fight, everybody wants to watch it, because they want to see where everybody stands in the hierarchy. That's why people stand and watch, and they don't intervene.
Yeah, I mean that's you think about, like, look at IBJJF. They have the masters divisions every 5 years, and it's interesting, how some people treat that, like, you know what I mean, as far as like, oh, and I think that's to your point, like, you don't see Master 6 or Master 5 level people jumping in the adult division, and for that reason,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty. It spells it out right there. But there is this weird kind of tribalism, like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. All right. So going into the
human nature, and so
100%, 100%. So now in the timeline of your story now, so Globetrotters, people want to be under you. You're already a black belt. Globetrotters is getting big. You're registered with the IBJJF as a group, but at some point now, what is the issue that they have that you see is happening?
Oh, the drama thing.
Yeah, how did that come about? Why do you think it came about, and where do you go forward from there?
First of all, I would say humans love drama. They love this shit, and the internet loves to blow up about all these things. I would say the most watched video I've ever put on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, is because I have a lot of good content I put up over 20 years.
You do.
The most watched one ever is me rolling with my teenage students who are blue belts, competitors. They all have like 500 matches. Me just rolling at an open mat. And they're all like 17, 18 years old. And the title is Teenage Blue Belts Tap Black Belt Twice Their Age. And literally, this has been up for 8 years. People still comment on it. People still, to this day, commenting on that video. It has like 150,000 views or something crazy. And like, still every year, 8 years later, people still comment. People love drama like this. They love these things, and which, I mean, you can kind of take advantage of. It's good, easy, very, very easy clickbait, So I would say people love to blow it up, but the IBJJF thing is also like, it was probably the time we had the most visits ever on our website, but really the effect of the whole thing is like nothing, you know. I mean, it's like almost nothing really. So back when I registered the team, and I said, yeah, sure, anyone feel free to sign up and join and compete on the Globetrotters, whatever, you know. That kind of just kept going for years. And I just let everyone sign up. I mean, who cares? It doesn't really matter. Anyone can register a team with the IBJJF. You can do it today. It'll cost you $70. You just fill out a form, done. You can call it BJJ Globetrotters 2 if you want. Nobody's going to notice. And you can have people sign up for your team. There's nothing special to it, to what I did at all. So I guess we kind of started building that affiliation, and more people joined, and it became an affiliation. The only difference between Globetrotters and any other affiliation is that we don't charge any money. There's no business relationship. But apart from that, people can use it exactly as they want. You know, they can do the exact same as any other affiliation for networking, for technique, for even for finding people to help promote them, whatever. There's no difference between that and any traditional affiliation. Now, so over the years, we just signed up a lot of people. A lot of people have nowhere to go if they wanted to compete. Maybe their instructor, I don't know, don't want to do it, or they don't bother, or they cannot do it, or whatever. You need some Brazilian friends usually who are high enough, who can sign some forms, whatever. So we just let anyone compete with Globetrotters. I don't care. It's not like if they lose, I feel bad, or if they win, I feel good. I have zero to do with the results really at all. So that happens over the years, and like a bunch of people use that, and which is totally fine. And then at some point, I think someone wrote, like on the underground forum, someone wrote, "Hey, Christian Graugart, you have a fake purple belt on your team. What are you going to do about it?" I mean, they didn't even email me or anything. I just randomly found that thread on the underground forum. People love drama, remember? And I was like, oh, okay. So some guy who was a blue belt, he had us sign the form. He said he was a purple belt. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll email IBJJF and say, like, okay, I guess we're gonna just delete this guy. Fine, done. I said, okay. I mean, I couldn't care less. I mean, what's the problem? I mean, he could sign up at Naga and say he was a black belt. No one would check, you know?
Right.
So I was like, okay, fine. So I guess I have some people working in Globetrotters, and I said, so the girl who's doing who took care of all the forms and all that stuff. We had a bunch of black belt friends who would just sign the forms, you know. And I say, okay, maybe let's do this. Whenever they sign up, you know, just check their Facebook just to see they have like pictures of them competing or whatever, and like wearing a belt. And if not, like ask them to send like some pictures or whatever, just like a basic, I would say like a background check, which any other affiliation probably do not have. If you go today and you sign up, say, I would like to be part of your affiliation. Hello, can I buy into this franchise business thing? And you will do seminars and you promote my students, whatever. It's not like they're going to go through all your students and check all their belts. That doesn't happen, you know? So already there, I think we did more than everyone else. And then at some point we're like, okay, but what about black belts? You know, suddenly there's more people involved. What about like black belts or whatever? And so what we did was I had Vara, our kind of behind the scenes manager. I said like, okay, so for black belts, let's do this just to make sure there's no like whatever drama. I don't want to deal with it if someone tries to cheat, or we'll just delete them again. It's no big deal. But let's say this: if a black belt want to compete for us, which has nothing to do with us really, we asked them to send we need 5 black belts to send us a message on Facebook and vouch for them that they're black belt, confirm it. So say, okay, hey, I'm a black belt. I would like to can you help me compete with the IBJJF? Sure. Just have 5 of your black belt friends. Just say it's okay, you're black belt. So then she goes onto Facebook, checks people's Instagram, Facebook, check, oh, these are actually black belts. They say he's a black belt, so it must be kind of okay, you know? So just like a basic background check. And again, way more than any affiliation in the world will do. And I pay someone to do this, like, and it's free, obviously, to be part of Globetrotters and to compete and whatever. But I pay staff to do this. Just because I don't want to deal with the drama. If like one person out of 1,000 try to fake the black belt or whatever. And what are they going to do? Compete in black belt division? What happens? They're just going to lose.
Right.
It's not like they get to the finals and then it's revealed. It's like they're probably just going to lose the first match. Who the fuck cares? They're just a waste of money. So that's quite a lot of work, to do that. And suddenly, she spends a lot of time on doing background check on everyone. I was like, I need your time to be more efficient. So I thought I had an idea to automate it, to build a database of jiu-jitsu practitioners, and then you could kind of, instead of emailing us and vouching for someone, you could just press vote. I know this person. I'm a black belt. I say that this person is a black belt. Done. And that was I spent a good year kind of trying to think up the system and kind of build how it would work. It's kind of juggling a lot of balls in my head at the same time before I started actually trying to build it, and a bunch of friends chipped in to help. So it's basically just an automation of that, which is that if you are a black belt, fine, go make a profile, verify your name and your picture so we know it's you. And then your friends who are also verified, they can vote for you. And depending on your belt rank, you have more and more points. So if you're a black belt, you need 1,000 points, which is 10 black belts need to verify that you're a black belt. Yeah, and then it's all automatic. So say, okay, now if someone wants to sign up with Globetrotters, we just go check their profile, and it's fine. Obviously you can see their instructor there; they vouch for it. Their friends, the training partners. There's pictures from companies. It's literally just an automated version of what she was doing manually. Just like Globetrotters became an easier way for people to travel with jiu-jitsu because I had to do it manually. Yeah, so I just try to build systems to make it easier. And that became BeltChecker, and that really just completely blew up, and it's growing still. It's almost 2 years now, and we got more than 20,000 people there, and it's working incredibly well. And I think the system has proved its worth and been under a lot of critique, but it's over time, there's no doubt that it works. So and it's being used more and more, so that was good. And I said, and I just announced kind of, hey, by the way, the background check we do on black belts, don't worry about it anymore. We just use BeltChecker from now on because it's the same thing. Now we can go and see, this black belt says that you're okay, so fine. Now you're okay to, if you're verified there, you can compete for Globetrotters. We don't mind. And very shortly after, and I said, literally anyone who wants to compete for Globetrotters can do it, like always, like we've done since day one. Because it's just, okay, you want to sign up for affiliation and compete for us, fine. You can do that with Gracie Baja, ADAS, whatever, all these, right. Every single affiliation, you can sign up for the affiliation and compete for them. That's how it works. You just have to pay them, all of them pretty much. You don't have to pay Globetrotters. Everyone is welcome, it's free, and you can compete for us. Like any other affiliation in the world. And it's not like if you sign up with, I don't even know who's the head of what affiliation. Let's say if you sign up with affiliation X, it's not like you're then directly training with the head of that affiliation. That's not how it works. We all know that. Maybe you see them once a year at a seminar, but it's not like they're now your instructor, the person who signs your form. But very, very shortly after I posted about BeltChecker and said, hey, this system is now up and running. It will now do all the verification that we need automatically. And again, as usual, anyone who wants to compete for Globetrotters, just go and get verified on BeltChecker. We'll sign you up. Very shortly after, IBJJF emailed me and said, hey, we see that you are allowing people to compete who are not actually your students, so you are now banned from IBJJF, something like that. And that was pretty much it. I was like, okay, fine.
What was you said before there was a critique about BJJ? BeltChecker.com. What was some of the critique that you were getting on it?
I don't even remember. Everybody just hates it. People love to hate it.
So you got an email.
People love drama.
Yeah. I mean, I got to admit, I do. Shout out to my past training partners, Tier 1. I think that's. So you just got an email from IBJJF saying we see you doing this and you're banned.
They didn't mention BeltChecker or anything. They just said I don't even remember. It was something like it's not how we want jiu-jitsu to be. You're supposed to people who sign up for your team are supposed to train with you. The forms need to be signed by the direct instructor, which is not how it works anywhere in any affiliation. If you're part of, name a random affiliation, if you're part of that, whoever is the owner of that affiliation who signs all the forms, like let's say you're part of the Checkmat, the Vieira brothers are going to sign your forms, but they probably don't even know who you are. That's very, very likely. Mm-hmm. So that argument doesn't hold water, obviously. But I mean, what can you do? IBJJF is a private company for profit. They have built a system. They call themselves a federation. Obviously, they're not. They have built a system to verify jiu-jitsu belts, which is based on paper forms and signatures, and is pretty much like a multi-level marketing way of dealing with it. And it's all like analog, manual paper forms, scanning papers, signing papers. Someone higher needs to sign for someone higher, needs to sign for someone else. It's like a dinosaur of a system, and BeltChecker is just the automated version of it. And it's not like they're the real. It's not like they're the official ones, because they're just a private company who did the exact same thing. They just did a less efficient system for it. So it's a private company. They can do whatever they want. I can't really they're not a federation. They can kick anyone out they want, and nobody can really have anything to do. So who cares? It's just a competition of many competitions. People can compete anywhere they want. So
that's actually a good point. If somebody's in an affiliation, let's say they have a decently large affiliation, and they have a school, an affiliation of theirs that maybe they've never been to, and like you said, it's a blue belt that wants to compete. I'm the founder of the affiliation, but I never met this guy, but I'm still going to sign his paperwork because it's an affiliate of mine. And like you said, it's the same thing in your case. I mean, you don't know most of these people, maybe that they want to just register with Globetrotters and fight, but what's the difference there? That's a good point.
Yeah, whatever. I think obviously also, it's hard to say what the real reason is. It's obvious. The real reason is obviously not what they say it is. But I mean, who cares? It's people can just compete somewhere else, or they just ask there's plenty of black belts out there who can probably sign the form. So I'm very sure if they just post online, I would like to compete, can someone sign my form for me? And I'm very sure that this is possible.
Yeah, I mean, people listening don't know or haven't heard of it. It's BeltChecker.com. I have my profile on there. I think it's amazing. It's free. It's a community-based way to verify people's belts. It's a community-based. They got forums on there. There's instructional videos on there. I mean, it's an awesome database just to even track your own training. So I encourage everybody. I tell everybody at my academy, make sure you get a BeltChecker profile. I think it's a great alternative, not to just make sure everybody's paying the IBJJF. I think this is a great way to do that separately.
Yeah, I mean, IBJJF has their reasons for having a belt verification or like a rank verification system. One is for their competitions. It's a good thing for them, but also because they sell certificates, they sell promotions, online promotions. If you're a black belt, you don't need an instructor. You can buy your way to black belt degrees through the IBJJF. And so I guess that's a good business for them. And BeltChecker probably takes some of that business because we offer the same for free. And it's all community-based. It's not based on a hierarchy where some cousins in Brazil are at the top of the hierarchy and they need to sign forms all the way down to you. So now you can actually have your rank verified through the community, and it's free. So obviously it's a competition with their system, and unfortunately they would need quite a lot of work to redo their way of doing things. So so IBJJF is selling online promotions. You can promote yourself, buy the rank online with IBJJF if you want today. That's how it works. I could do the same today. I could go buy a 3rd degree black belt certificate for them without an instructor signing anything. So it's true.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing that, it's like, oh, if you're following that, then, you can only be a 2nd degree to promote black belts. Like, me and Brian have been talking about this for a while, and it's like, some schools only follow that method. There's some schools, that abide by that. A lot of them don't. I don't think a lot of people realize that a lot of them don't. I mean, I think I think it's worth looking into what other options are out there and not just looking at them as the only option. But I think a lot of people still, that come up, very, back in the day or old school, that they just still everything. Oh, yeah, you don't have your IBJJF, you're not recognized, then you can't promote anybody. And I think that's not a good thing for the sport, for the art. So,
well, I think the power of the BeltChecker platform is that it gives 100% power to the people. I have no more power on that platform than anyone else. Even though I am the administrator, I have access to the database. From the core, it's designed to give no power to the moderators. So it's not like you sign up and you can suck up to me and I can verify you. I cannot do it. Even if I go in and like manually in the database put you as a verified black belt, the next time someone reloads your profile, it will default back to what the community has actually voted you to be. Yeah. So it's at its core, it's impossible to corrupt it, so to say, and it gives the power to the community to decide what are criteria for all sorts of things. So it could be criteria for promotions, it could be criteria for black belt degrees, whatever. The community decides. So everybody can vote, and they decide what are the criteria. So technically, you could say, can I promote myself? Yes or no? And the entire community can vote for it. And if they all say yes, then the new standard is that you can promote yourself. Very unlikely to happen, I would say.
Right.
But in the system, the power is there for the community to change the common perception of how things are supposed to be. So as you say, even this has been debated quite a lot on the site. Even let's say, who can promote a black belt? Yeah. So I think the common agreement is it's a second degree black belt can promote a black belt. But if someone disagrees, and if a big enough part of the community disagrees, and they have enough voting power, and they're all verified, they can actually change that criteria. So if, let's say, a black belt who has been a black belt for 1 week wants to promote a black belt, he could try, and the community can then vote to say, is this okay or not? Highly likely they will say no, but the power is there for it to change. So that actually goes for all aspects of promotions and like time served and all these things, and the community can then agree on what are how are things supposed to work, instead of it's a private company who sends out the rules once a year,
Right.
IBJJF does. And I mean, the community votes very much in line with IBJJF standards, so that's fine. So those are the standards, but we have the power to change it. So if someone says, hey, I think brown belts should be okay to always promote purple belts. So then we can, if we all agree, if enough people agree, then it will be like that. But usually people don't agree on that. So it's quite simple. And one of the things are black belt degrees, which is one of the stupidest things in jiu-jitsu. Is literally the most ridiculous thing ever. Are they based on time, or are they based on maintaining a relationship with some person who's higher than you in the hierarchy? That's a great debate. It's long, but
that's like the time served option on Globetrotters. That's going by the IBJJF.
BeltChecker.
Oh, it's the BeltChecker.com.
Separate project from Globetrotters, not owned by Globetrotters, not controlled by Globetrotters.
Yeah, totally separate entities there. So for BeltChecker, because I even did it too. So time served for second degree, that's based on the years that are the current standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, because that's like a debate too, like I was talking about it with Brian, it's like, okay, so you even like, you get time served. Let's say you even get an IBJJF certificate that says, oh, you got your first degree or second degree. I mean, some people are like, oh, but you still can't put your stripes on there yourself. You have to get it from your professor. Like the professor has to put those stripes on you then, but then what's it?
Or IBJJF could do it. Your professor or IBJJF. If you don't have an instructor, IBJJF can still promote you to stripes based on time.
Mm-hmm.
Money, you have to pay them, obviously.
Right.
IBJJF offer this service, and people usually don't know about it. They offer this service that, let's say, I don't have a black belt instructor right now. I don't have like a professor. I just train with random people that are my friends. But still today, I could email IBJJF and say, hello, I have been paying a membership fee for this many years. Can I please be IBJJF verified 3rd degree black belt? Yes, you just have to pay, do the referee course, do like a whatever they have, like a first aid, whatever, this and this, pay us $400, and we send you a certificate. They do that, and then I can put the stripe on myself, and no one will say that's wrong because IBJJF says it's okay, yeah. But no professor is involved, so what's the problem there? It's just based on time. So BeltChecker can do the exact same thing. If you've been a black belt for X number of years, and this is by experiment, through community verification, you've been a black belt for X number of years. IBJJF says it's okay to give you self stripes. It's still kind of weird. I don't know if I would do it or not, but IBJJF says it's okay. I mean, I could do that today. So if we don't involve IBJJF, could I do it anyway? If the community agrees, and they tend to agree, there are like 170 black belt degrees based on time, which are verified on BeltChecker at this moment. And I think that's a very healthy thing. I think that is a small revolution in jiu-jitsu that we have this, because it sets people free from relationships. You don't have to have a relationship. You don't have to maintain a relationship with someone higher than you that you have to invite back to seminars or whatever. And every 3 years you post, you see these, you post a memory on Facebook. Oh, I can't believe it's been 6 years since I got my black belt. Big shout out to my professor, blah, blah, blah. I hope he's going to enjoy his seminar at my gym next week. And oh, I hope he remembers it's been 6 years now, And so this actually sets people free from relationships. Some people want that relationship, and it's healthy and it's good, and they are actually real friends, and it's not a bad relationship. But many people can be stuck in this for a lifetime because they crave those degrees on their black belt so much, so they can stay on top of the hierarchy. They want it so much so others don't overtake them. Yeah. And then BeltChecker can set them free because exactly like IBJJF, it's based on time served, nothing else. Not based on skill. It's not even like in ninjutsu. If you want a 5th degree ninjutsu, black belt 5th degree, you need to dodge a sword with your eyes closed. That's some skill. In like karate, whatever, you need to do like a new kata for every black belt degree that you have to do like fucking perfectly. And you just have to stay alive. That's it. Actually,
you got to be living. That's
actually not, because and this is the interesting aspect. You don't have to stay alive only. You have to stay alive and maintain a relationship with someone who is higher than you in the hierarchy, or the IBJJF. Those are your two options. Have to keep a relationship with a professor who you pay usually, or you have to keep paying IBJJF. Those are the two things you need, plus stay alive, in order to be promoted to black belt degrees. Here is an option based completely democratic voting, power to the people. It's BeltChecker. You stay alive, and the community says, correct, this guy has been training for X number of years. We all agree that he now deserves this new shiny rank, a black belt rank, which is so fucking weird. It's not based on skill. There are two belt systems in jiu-jitsu. One is based on skill, which is the colored belts, which is equivalent somehow to jiu-jitsu competition divisions. And it makes sense. It gives you a chance to compete and like kind of move up. I would say promotion should be based on results, not on your instructor's discretion, but that's another talk. And then we have a completely separate belt system, which is the black belt degrees based only on time. It has one purpose only, is to keep the original guys on top. Nothing else. It has no other purpose.
I have to agree with that. I mean, and I think that's a good point too. Like, there's a lot of people out there that value that, original relationship with their professor. It's a good relationship, but I think a lot of people, and I've seen too, like, there's people that just, no matter what happens, that there's something, non-ethical or non-moral that happens, they push it under the bridge, and it doesn't matter because that's my professor, and it's all about loyalty. At some point, loyalty is a two-way street, man. It's not just a one-way street. So like, I feel like you're spot on with that. There's some great relationships, and hey, that's awesome. But there's also not so good relationships where people stay because they feel like, loyalty, you know what I mean? But no, they got to wake up.
Fundamentally, it's dangerous, very dangerous to build long-term relationships based on one person wanting something from the other person. I think that's incredibly dangerous. That's why I personally believe that. That's why I do everything I can to not build those relationships myself, and also to probably also why I would try to build these systems in a sense, or like offer people an alternative. They can take it or not, but at least there's an alternative. And who knows if someone says, okay, this professor of mine, he's actually has a bad history of sexual harassment or whatever. I really want him to promote me to a second degree black belt, so I can also give black belts one day and bring that value to my students. So I'm gonna stick around with him for a little bit longer, just so I can get that, because I really want that. Otherwise, it's gonna be too much work to find another professor to do that stuff. So I'm just thinking, are there some people out there? There are many people who have very healthy relationships with their instructor. Are there some people out there who, 1 second. Yeah, full connection. Are there some people out there who are staying in relationships which are unhealthy? Let's just say, I'm just throwing this out. Your professor is a sexist, racist idiot. Could be a few of those out there, yeah? Are some people staying in a training relationship, a student-instructor relationship with someone like that because they want something from this person? And in this sense, in this situation, it is they want a belt promotion. So they can also one day give out black belts. There's a reason why most student-teacher relationships end after black belt, or even after second-degree black belt, because then you don't want anything anymore. So if we offer a healthy alternative that's based on community verification and based on time, could some people maybe escape these bad relationships? And I think yes. And if it happens for just one person, then it's a great success.
Yeah, that's spot on. I think it's a great thing. I think BeltChecker.com is a great thing. The vision is there, and I think it does exactly what you're saying. Because, like I said, I think a lot of people, more than you think, are they're just convincing themselves of why they are where they are, and they're convincing themselves, oh well, my professor did this, I don't really agree with it, but forget it. I'm comfortable where I'm at, and whatever. So yeah, I think that's just a way for people to kind of open up their eyes and actually tell if it's a true good relationship, because then there isn't something that they're looking for out of their professor. You know what I mean? I think that's the key.
And you know what? Even if you say, okay, I'm not gonna take my, let's say, just black belt degrees from this person anymore. I'm gonna take them from the community, so to say. You could still stay friends and train together if that was an actual, real, honest relationship. That should change.
Yeah.
It's true.
That should not change anything whatsoever. But if it did change anything, it very likely was not a very healthy relationship.
100%.
Yeah, where you guys weren't friends to begin with, right? It was just a transaction.
You see, and this has unfortunately been true for me many times, is that you see the true person once they don't need anything from you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start the relationship with not basing it on them wanting something from you, then you have an honest relationship from the beginning. And that's what I really try to do as a black belt and as a kind of a cult leader. I purposely build systems to keep myself at ground level. If I showed up at camps and there was like 20 people trying to buy me lunch all the time because they hope to get a stripe on their blue belt, that would be a fucking nightmare for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it would be horrible.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So that's all those topics are really prevalent. And like you said, people are attached and they're attracted to drama, as I admit I am too. I mean, it's a big, jiu-jitsu being a big part of my life. It's I own an academy. It's definitely a big part. There's a lot of personal things. There's a lot of politics at play. But I think Globetrotters and BeltChecker offers a way to really expose true relationships, true loyalty, because then you're not in it you know, and I say to everybody, you're voting with your dollars. When you are going to an academy, if you don't agree with even just one thing, and you don't even feel like you can approach your professor, and you still stay there, you're actually doing a disservice to the art because you're voting with your dollars ultimately. You know.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on again. I'm really excited to see the future of both Globetrotters and BeltChecker as two separate entities. I just love that it's such an organically done thing. I mean, you can just tell from your demeanor and this whole podcast that it was literally zero planning. Everything just happened as you just wanted to travel and experience jiu-jitsu because you had no choice, and you had that spirit of traveling and wanting to seek it out. And you know, just so people, listeners, maybe you started in the last couple of years, and maybe you just started jiu-jitsu. It wasn't that way. You know, back in the day, cross training was not something that was pushed. You were a trader if you trained anywhere else. You know, you were told not. Yeah. You were told not to watch YouTube. You were told, you know, you're not allowed to do certain moves until you reach certain levels. And that was the way a lot of people experienced jiu-jitsu. And I think Globetrotters and BeltChecker is a like we always say, there was a void that was created, and it's being filled.
Yeah.
So where can everybody see? Where can everybody see it? You know, you have your personal Instagram, right? There's bjjglobetrotters.com. There's beltchecker.com. Where else can people find you and find out about your organizations?
Good question. I think that's it. Just go to bjjglobetrotters.com. I wrote a book about that trip. I did that round the world trip. It's 10 years ago. It's still, you can download the ebook for free on bjjglobetrotters.com.
Awesome.
I just actually yesterday, I just spent 10 months recording it as an audiobook and just launched that yesterday. So that was a shit project. But,
wow. Congrats.
But now it's out there. I'll send you guys a coupon so you can download it for free.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
I'll add the link to it below. For it.
I wrote some new chapters on like what happened after the book, after the trip. And then I recorded all that, and I thought I'll do that in like a few weeks, and it took me 10 months to do it. So, so I'm so relieved today that I finally just like pushed the button on that audiobook yesterday. So
that's awesome. Congratulations, man. And also too, if you guys are looking to join into the camps, there's a whole list. I was just looking at, there's a whole list of camps all across the world if you guys are interested in attending one of them.
Yeah.
Just invite some friends to go on a holiday with you and train jiu-jitsu. It's like,
yeah. I don't want to be a better vacation, right?
I don't want to sound like a salesman here and try to sell anything.
No, definitely. And we'd love to host you out in the Hamptons, Eastern Long Island, New York. Whenever you're around in the area, let me know. I'd love to host either a camp or have you out the academy. So definitely let's keep in touch. Yeah, stick around after. We're going to close out the show, and make sure you guys subscribe to the newsletter. Make sure you guys check out jujitsumotivation.com. Make sure you guys check out our socials, YouTube, and make sure you guys check out reviewmyroll.com, our new service where you guys send in videos of you rolling, and we send you back critique. All right, till next time, guys. Take care.